Welcome, fellow yogis, to Sunshine Running and Yoga. I would like to welcome you into a new meditation for today. A little bit to talk about with meditation today. But before we do that, let's go ahead and just find our comfortable position. And I'm sitting on a block today that feels comfortable for my back. It may feel comfortable for you. It's a great prop to use. And I'm going to sit crisscross applesauce, like we've talked about, also known as a simple seated position. You're welcome to do that. Again, you're welcome to lay down. You're welcome to maybe be in child's pose, or maybe sit on your couch, however you feel comfortable, or just sitting in a chair with your feet on the ground, rooted onto the ground, whatever makes you feel comfortable. You're going to have your eyes closed, your eyes open. You could be looking up at something. You could be looking at the floor, just kind of like, we call that, in yoga, they'll call that your drishti. It's where your eye is focused on, okay? So a lot of times they'll say, lower your drishti to the floor. You know, it's your gaze. And it's just kind of like a light gaze, not like a super laser focused attention. From there, I want you to start paying attention to your breath, like we've talked about before. And I want you to think about your breath today as like being on the beach of an ocean, you know, at the ocean. And it's a nice calm day at the ocean today. And you can just see the water coming up and going back, and the water's going to just kind of come up on the beach and then go back into the ocean. And I want you to think of that with your breath, and I want you to inhale the water up and exhale the wave out. Inhale up, exhale out. Really try and focus on that. And while you're doing that, I just want to throw some things out there to you. It's just some food for thought. This week's been kind of a difficult week for me, and I've definitely utilized my meditation techniques quite a bit, and a lot of prayer. And while it has helped, it definitely helps, it doesn't resolve everything, right? And so that makes you think, well, why am I doing this? And you're doing this because you're still, even if you can't get comfortable in your meditation today, your list in your head is just too big, and things have happened that are just too much, and you just can't get comfortable on your mat. I want you to realize that that's okay. You're still doing something, even if you take a minute to try and listen to your breath, or listen to, or feel that breath going in and out of you, and maybe just thinking about a wave, even if it's for a couple of seconds. And then you have to bring your head back to it again because you've moved away from that. The meditation, you're still meditating, it's still there, and it may not be doing this giant thing for you, but it is still doing something for you. And it's such a great thing to come back to. And so what I'm trying to say is, it's okay if you do this and you think, oh my gosh, I can't get into this. This is not comfortable. This is not fun. It's not always going to feel like that. You're going to have those days where you just can't get into it, and that's okay. Still try and get a practice in, you know, whatever that practice is for you for that day. Remember, this is your mat. This is where your space is, and where you decide what you want to do and what you want to have. And a lot of times in yoga, we'll talk about that being your intention. So setting your intention while you're on your mat. What's your intention today? Maybe your intention today may be just to calm down just a little bit. Maybe your intention may be to think about a particular person and just think good thoughts. Maybe your intention is just to be observant while you're on your mat, not necessarily obviously of the room that you're in, but of where you're at, and say, not really feeling that pose today. Normally I can get in that pose, but that pose isn't working for me today. And just observe it. It's not a bad thing. So I want you to continue to breathe in and breathe out. I want you to continue to think about that wave coming up to the shore and going out and coming in, and using your breath to exhale it out. Inhale that wave in, exhale that wave out. This week for me, 1 Peter 5:7 in the Amplified translation of the Bible is really good. And it says, casting all your cares, all your anxieties, all your worries, and all your concerns once and for all on Him, for He cares about you with deepest affection and watches over you very carefully. Think about that as you're breathing in the ocean and you're exhaling the ocean away. As you're going through your practice today, or as we're going through the things that I want to show you today, just focus your mind on what's important to you and don't worry about what's important to anybody else. Okay, why don't you go ahead and come back? And today we're going to do plank pose, and we're going to do the plank pose in several different ways, because there's a lot of ways you can modify it for shoulders and wrists, and heck, just a core that just isn't quite ready to be fully into a long-term plank pose. We are also going to do what's called chaturanga, which is also the yoga push-up. And there's some important things about that, and you don't have to do the chaturanga. I'm just showing it to you because what I eventually want to start or get it to here in the next few videos is to do a full sun salutation A, which is just a series of poses, 5 or 6 poses together, that's usually used to start a yoga practice, to kind of warm you up. And it's then used throughout the yoga practice. It's a good way to get some strength building and good core building for you. Even if that's the only thing you do. I mean, there's some days that I'll just do a few sun salutations and it just makes me feel stronger and taller, and stretched out. Today we're going to work, like we talked about a little bit, we're going to work on some plank positions and the chaturanga position and cobra. Those are the part of the sun salutation A. When we do that, remember, we want to keep our alignment right. We want to keep our ears over our shoulders. We want to keep our shoulders back. We want to keep our ribs knit together. We want to keep our tailbones tucked. Okay, those things are going to keep your core tight and going to strengthen your core, and that's what we want to do, is have a strong core. Okay, so for chaturanga, what I would start, or not for chaturanga, sorry, for plank, the first way that I would be in plank is on all fours, right? Some people are going to just start right here, and this is okay, right? You're going to have your, just like we've talked about before, you're going to have your hands under your shoulders. You're going to be putting your pressure on right here on your hands, okay? So you can take some of the tension off of your wrist. You're going to be using your fingertips to kind of push down as well. And that's going to it's going to even the pressure out on your hands and your wrist and give you more time to be able to be on that position without getting uncomfortable. Your knees are under your hips. And this is a perfectly fine, perfectly good plank position to practice having your alignment in place. The next step maybe would be to come up or come back with your knees a little bit, okay? And then be more, so your knees aren't going to be under your hips, but instead they're going to be back, but your arms, or your shoulders are still going to be over your shoulder or your wrist, your hands, okay? From here, if this is uncomfortable, not from here, but if this is uncomfortable for your wrist, you can always come down onto your forearms, right? And the further out you go, the more you're going to be using your core. And if you would do this, you would have basically your elbows underneath your shoulders, okay? From here, if I wanted to do plank position in with my knees off of the ground, I would just be, again, hands under my shoulders, my feet would be back, and I would have the same positioning, the same alignment, keeping everything tucked. And the best thing you can do is to keep your legs together. The more you focus on tightening your legs and keeping them together, that's going to help you hold that longer. It's going to help you with your core. And you want to, again, back to the alignment, you want to keep your shoulders down, okay? From there, we might go into what's called a chaturanga or yoga push-up, right? You would go down, keeping your shoulders back. You would only go down about halfway. You want to keep, and you want on this, you want your elbows to go straight back, okay? Keeping them next to the side of your body. You want to use really your triceps on this, okay? And you can do it from your kneeling position. Just go halfway down and then back up. Or you can always go all the way down. Or if you're doing it from a position off of your knees, again, halfway down and up. And then from there, if you wanted to, you could go all the way down, but just again, being careful of your shoulders as you're going down. And then you could go into what's called a cobra position. So say you want to go down from your knees. Okay, your hands are in the perfect spot for cobra. You don't want to move them. You want them to be next to your chest. You want to keep your elbows in, and you want to just come up. Before you come up though, make sure your feet are flat against the floor, okay? Your tops of your feet. You're going to roll your thighs inward and up towards the ceiling, and that's going to release your glutes. And now you're going to lift up so that you're not pinching your back here. You don't want to pinch your back, okay? And you're going to lift up. You could lift your hands off the ground, okay? They're there just to kind of give you a little bit of stability. But the purpose of it is to give your back a little bit of a back bend, right? And you also want to make sure that you're not taking your head and just squeezing it back, okay? Everything wants to be back into position, and that's what's going to help build up for you. Build up your core, your back. So, and you're not going to just scrunch your back or hurt it. And if it does hurt, that means you don't do it. Okay, so we have plank on the knees, plank with your knees further back, plank on your forearms. We have plank where you're in the full upright position, and every single one of them has your alignment perfect, right? That's what's going to build up your core, or help you build up your core. And then from plank, we went to chaturanga. And from chaturanga, we did that with both our knees and with our full body position. And then we made sure as we went down, we kept our shoulders back, because a lot of times we'll forget and we'll be like this going down to the ground, and that's going to be bad for our shoulders, bad for our neck, bad for our body. So we want to make sure you're keeping your shoulders down when you're going into your yoga push-up chaturanga. And then again, when we went all the way down, we went into, right after that, we went into what was called the cobra position. And that was keeping our hands next to our chest, keeping our elbows next to our sides, okay? And then just lifting up after we've made sure that we're not squeezing our, crunching our back. We wanted to make sure that our legs were down on the ground, our feet were touching the ground, and that we were rotating our thighs inward and up towards the ceiling, and not using our glutes so much. All right, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, definitely post them at the bottom in the comment section, and I will see you next week. Thank you.